Hello, this is Jeremy Fox. This is Dorked Afternoon Scuttlebutt, and we're here today with Adam Driver.
Hi.
Wait, that's not Adam Driver. Did you call us publicist?
No, I did. I tried to, but they said he was unavailable today. He's currently filming on location at an undisclosed location, and
Okay, so we're here today with Adam Fox.
Hey,
the wrong Adam.
Yeah, the wrong Adam. Definitely the wrong one.
We're here today with the wrong Adam to talk about Dorked Afternoon. So, what would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured Jeremy, since, speaking of which, I don't know if anybody else knows this, and this isn't going to seem like much to anybody else in the audience, because to you guys, there's only been 2 episodes recorded. That's all you've heard so far. But in actuality, we've recorded a few episodes, and this is the first time we've done recording with 2 people in the same room.
Yeah. We are thousands of miles apart.
Thousands?
Thousand.
I was just say multiple thousands?
At least 1,000.
Yeah, at least one.
And some change.
I mean, I think probably in total, if you totaled up everybody's...
I mean, if you drew a pentagram on a map.
Right. Right. Well, it would be a...
We would call Cthulhu.
It would be a pentagram. It would be. We need to all reconsider where we live so that we can, like...
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
On the map. All right, new goals. Relocate to places where we can draw Eldridge signs across the United States.
Unfortunately, that just means someone's going to be in Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale.
Good luck, Brian. Right, we voted you to Fort Lauderdale. You're going to be our Florida band.
That tracks. I'm sure he would agree.
Oh, shit.
He's going to end up using a 22 for a fuse and getting shot in the nuts.
Oh, my God. Wait, has someone actually done that?
Somebody used a 22 shell in their truck to function as a fuse, and then it ended up going off and shooting him in the nuts.
Holy shit. That is amazing. Florida. Listen, for anyone out there that's listening to this from Florida, get your shit together.
That is not what I expected. I expected
I don't know what the issue is. And I don't have a lot of room to talk because the state I live in has some issues too. But Florida, come on. Like,
a lot of states say to themselves, at least we're not Florida.
there are a lot of states that do. Like, it's become a meme. Like the guy from Florida. But,
Florida man.
Yeah.
Did I say ma'am?
Man. I believe it's Florida man. Pause for edit. Florida man.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. No, so Jeremy, yeah, I mean, like, the whole idea behind this was I figured we could, like, discuss GMing styles, how to prep for campaigns, since now we have, like, the 2 episodes up of two, quote unquote, a session 0 episode and a session 1 episode of 2 Past Midnight, the Twilight 2000 campaign, and then 1 episode of Encore the Lost, which is Pathfinder 2nd edition Extinction Curse. And
who's running that one?
I think it was Jeremiah Johnson. Oh. Jeremiah Johnson, if I remember correctly.
Also, you prep?
Barely. Barely. A little bit. I prep a little bit.
For me, like, I'm very new to the GMing thing.
That was part of the reason why I thought it'd be an interesting question, because this is your first time prepping for a long-term campaign.
For sure.
I was curious, like, what's that like?
I mean, like, I started out doing, for the listeners, I started out doing some of the society scenarios and running you guys through it, really just because we were playing a 1st edition game and 2nd edition came out, and I really wanted to try out the rule system. And, well, honestly, I just wanted to play more. You know, I was fiending, you know, so I figured the only way I could do that was actually start my own game and start GMing and bringing other people into it. And holy crap, that was freaking terrifying. Honestly, like GMing, like picking up the GM hat is absolutely nerve-wracking because of all of the pressure involved in that. And if you're not necessarily prepared for that, you know, it's intense. It's pretty intense, but it's also incredibly rewarding. As far as the pressure, but
keep talking. This is going for Facebook.
Yeah, you're going for Facebook. But no, GMing is probably one of the greatest things I've started doing. Running through the society scenarios, it was kind of like one-off, so prep was a lot easier, you know, because it's all just like one bite-sized module, 4 hours, you know, you just read through the scenario and then go with it. It's a good way to kind of get your feet wet as a GM. But then once we had a group fairly well stabilized for second edition, it was ultimately my idea to run an adventure path. And as far as prep, I used to prep a lot more, but I've gotten a little lazy about it, if I'm being honest. And with the way we've been recording, we've been focusing on Twilight 2000 pretty heavy for like the last month. So I've kind of like set it to the side. And then once we start getting back into the routine of doing second edition again, I'm probably going to prep better.
Yeah.
But I would say at least have an idea of where the story is going, you know, and the immediate future for your players is probably the biggest thing. Outside of that, just wing it or don't, or, you know, the best advice I ever heard was prep to the level of your comfort. If you're comfortable prepping, like over analyzing everything and having backstories for NPCs the characters will never meet, do that. If you don't want to do that, don't. You know, if it's too much pressure, don't do it. You know, just make it up on the fly if that's your style. I think it's dependent on the GM themselves. What about you?
No, I was thinking about that same thing. It's like that advice that I've heard and seen in some places where they talk about like, don't over prep. It's like, well, it's like, I feel like you have to over prep first to know what over prepping is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you go, wow, I prepared way too much for this. No one's ever going to go there. Like I remember when we were running that Starfinder game and I prepped an entire world, right? That was going to be like the final location of this one middle part of the arc of this giant campaign. And the party completely skipped it with one wish. Literally one wish. Skipped an entire story arc. And I was like, well, okay, I guess
I won't do that.
I guess we're not doing that anymore. Why did I give them that ring? That was dumb.
Oh, that's right. It was the Ring of Three Wishes.
Yeah, it was a ring of three wishes. Yeah.
From Santa Claus.
From Santa Claus. Literally from Santa Claus. So that's what happens when you over prep and then improvise and go, well, this is cool. I'm going to have Santa Claus. And it wasn't even my fault. Somebody else asked Santa for wishes. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a Santa thing, but okay.
I mean,
do that. That'll be interesting.
I mean, he's a magical elf, right?
I mean, yeah, but does he normally grant wishes? He brings presents.
Here's the question.
That's different.
Would Santa Claus be a sorcerer, a druid, or a wizard?
I'm going to say only based upon his animal companions.
I already have an answer.
Druid.
And you're wrong.
Okay.
He's an artificer.
Is he an artificer?
Yeah, he builds shit.
So are those robotic reindeer?
All of them. Yep. Every single one of them.
Interesting.
Have you not seen Futurama? Come on.
Well, that's the Futurama interpretation of it. I mean, it's also quite possible he's just a druid.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all like animal companions.
Rogue.
You know, Rogue's not a bad one. Rogue actually does make sense. He's probably something stupid like a fighter. He's just like, yeah, see, that's one of those moths I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They decided to join us in here. But yeah, it's probably like a fighter or a barbarian. That's probably what it is. He's probably a barbarian, and we just we haven't seen that side of Santa Claus yet.
Terrible.
And if you have, then you don't. You should be careful talking that direction because I do have stuff on the guitar so that it doesn't make extra noise, but it might still make extra noise.
You got stuff on the guitar.
But yeah, no, back to the original topic about preparation. Yeah, I mean, I know. Yeah, like, huh?
You said preparation. I said H.
H, yeah, preparation H. Gotcha.
Yep.
No, I was thinking about the so like when I was running the Pathfinder game that we were doing prior to this too, like it was the same thing. I mean, like running an AP, like there's just this inordinate, this ridiculous amount of information that like is there and available for the GM, and it's amazing, and all its backstory and stuff. And then it's like a lot of times it doesn't show up in the campaign. It doesn't.
I think it informs the GM as to. I think it informs the GM as to how to play those NPCs or, just the enemies and things like that. But it's ultimately up to the GM how much they want to use that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's just this like a lot of information that's just. I'm not saying it's not that's pointless, because it's useful, and GMing it, it's very useful to have all of that backstory and information about the world and the characters and the main players of the campaign, the NPCs. It's like it can be overwhelming and daunting. And I think that might be one of the holes that a lot of GMs probably fall into, is they're trying to like run it strictly by
the numbers.
By the numbers. And here's what the characters do. Here's what how this character acts. Here's what they do, and how would they? And it's like, well, let me look this up. It's like, just sometimes you just have to like make it up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to like retcon someone's backstory for that reason, then like I think there was a character in the Iron Gods one I was running that like in the book was a halfling, and like and for some reason in our original playthrough, like no one realized it and like we all assumed she was human, and then like it changed the way like some of the dynamics happened, and then like later on I was like, oh shoot, she was a halfling.
Yeah, and
I just kind of had to be like, oh well, that doesn't matter. Move on.
Too late. I'll be honest, I've already removed some NPCs from the Extinction Curse one.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, they just kind of disappeared, and I kind of like stole their information and gave it to another character, more or less.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, like, and that's the advantage of like with Two Past Midnight, the way we're running it is so like totally different game, shift gears,
totally.
Like, so yeah, with Pathfinder and running adventure paths, it's like, and that's one of the I guess critiques that are sometimes about Pathfinder or adventure paths in general, is that it's like too much on the rails, and like you're pushed in a very specific direction, and there's not that freedom of like an open world. Like that is complaints I've seen before. I like it at GMing it because it's a lot less prep.
It is a lot less prep, especially if you can go online and be like, let me just buy this whole book for the Roll20.
Yeah, I don't have to plan an entire point A to point B campaign. But I mean, like, but then running Twilight 2000 is a totally different kind of. I mean, I could plan an entire campaign that way, but why would I want to do that when it's like, you're here? What direction do you go? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things. Like, I'm better off just planning a couple minutes in the future sometimes. No, well, I mean, okay. So for those that are unfamiliar with the system, the game comes with, and in the referee's manual, and also like if you buy like the box set, it comes with a like deck, an encounter deck that you just kind of like every shift flip over a card, and it's like, this is what they might encounter, and you just kind of, and it'll have like 2 or 3 sentences, maybe like quick little blurb, and you just make it up as you go,
by the seat of the pants.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, I've been drawing the cards ahead of time prior to the sessions so that I don't have to completely make it up on the spot.
Right. And that works out for like streamlining the process.
Right. Yeah. It just makes it easier to improv it, because then I'm not improving it. I'm like, okay, this is kind of what's coming up, and I can like think ahead a little bit about what that means and try to fit it into like the characters. But it's still, it's not like opening scene of campaign, How does that lead from point A, where we start, to, in the Shire? We start in the Shire, right? All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door,
and then you turn around and you're
shows
Mordor.
up, and the next thing you know, you're, like,
how did I get to this fucking volcano?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Well, I was actually thinking about The Hobbit. I was looking at the first one,
same.
and so, but still, next thing you know, there's Smaug, and it's just the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, and it's different. It's not as quite as linear. And I think you can still have an idea for for a campaign and have an idea for like what's going on within it. But it's and I think it's partly because of the setting. Even it doesn't have that the big bad evil guy type feel to it,
Right.
because it's just kind of like the world is the big bad evil guy.
Right.
You know, there isn't one person, an evil sorcerer somewhere who's doing all this shit. It's like, no, it was like these two countries blew the crap out of the world, you know, and like,
and then they just kind of went backwards. And
yeah,
like, no,
and everybody kind of has to deal with it. Yeah, yeah, you know, it's like, so how do you, you know, and then it's just survival against that world. But yeah, and I think it's an interesting part about the setting is that it allows for a lot more like player contribution to what's going on in the world, you know.
Right, but I think that also goes back to the way Free League games are designed specifically. They're like, from what I've been reading about their multiple game systems, is that their games are about the players. The players are the core of the story, and is really the story that like the ref or the GM and the players want to tell. There's no real, I mean, they have adventure paths and things like that, but they're way more open. It's very much like writing prompts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have like a 2 or 3 sentence writing prompt and you're like, here you go, this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with it? You know? And then it is how those characters deal with those situations.
Right. Yeah. And that's the great thing. And that's actually the great thing about this hobby in general.
Yeah.
Is that like, there are so many different ways to play RPGs. You know what I mean? Like that you could, you know, sit down and be like, here's a book, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to prep anything, you know, and like do the whole campaign. And you could like pick a path, flip through from chapter to chapter and GM your friends through it. That would be a really, really, terrible way to do it, by the way. I don't recommend doing it that way.
What do you mean?
Well, no, I mean like not having read ahead. Like you're like you as a GM are just kind of like flipping through.
Winging it. Yeah. Like, that's what that was about.
Oh, no, yeah. And you don't even know while you're doing it. It's a good idea to read ahead a little bit, you know, a little bit as a GM. But like, you know, you could do it that way, or you could run a whole campaign where you just actually wing it the whole time. You know, and like, and different systems lend themselves to the different styles of play. I mean, even then, like with the Starfinder one that I ran for years, like I was, for the most part, like we started with a point A, right? Like here's where the campaign starts. Bam, you know? And I had like the end. And even then that was kind of fuzzy. Like I didn't exactly have it like 100% planned out.
That did develop over time.
Yeah, it was like, here's the big bad. This is what the big bad is, you know? And then like everything else in between kind of like was improvised in between sessions. I would like, oh, this is the next thing. Oh, this is the next thing.
Right, because that was one of the GMing things that you were doing, is you were taking what the players were giving you and developing the next session based off of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was another way to, but yeah, I mean, and I think it's interesting that there's,
but that's also that's ultimately the difference between running a homebrew and running an adventure path. The adventure paths are, by their nature, much more rigid. I mean, you can go off the rails. All you want is a GM.
Yeah.
You know, you could start an adventure path and then totally end up completely different from where the writers intended.
See, now I have an idea where you start one adventure path,
stop it, and then start another.
No, you don't stop it. You just like shift into a different adventure path.
So you could run essentially.
So you run like book 1,
3 adventures at the same time.
Of this one, and then you run like book.
Oh, that would be amazing.
2 of this one, and then you go to book 3 of this one.
That is one of the most convoluted ass ways of running a game.
And then you bring them all together in the end. That sounds like a nightmare.
How would you tie them all together?
I don't know. I haven't even picked. I literally just thought of this in the moment.
Yeah. What if it was multiple game systems?
Oh, so that's a whole other problem.
Yeah.
That would be. Yeah, that sounds horrible, and I'm gonna make a mental note to try that later.
You do it. All you, Bubba.
On. I've already got an idea. I think I know how to do it. So now that we've talked about GMing, let's talk about characters.
Oh, characters. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, what was your inspiration for Jacob, Jeremy?
Oh, my inspiration for Jacob. See, if you listen to the session 0, where the character creation is actually going through, my inspiration was solely the dice.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to the point in my character creation that I don't try to make specific characters anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the challenge of rolling dice to see what chance gives me, and then I fill in the blanks from that point forward. Like, I started out making like fighter characters and rangers and like much more straightforward combat-y characters, but I mean, I feel like that's pretty normal for noobs. You know, like you start out with something easy and then go from there. But once I got to the point where I built a wizard and multiple other like high level casters and stuff like that, I kind of gave up on it, and I decided to just let the dice decide for me, especially with a game system like Twilight 2000, because it lends itself with the life path system. Oh, it's phenomenal. And I wanted to really stretch the legs on it and just see what random chance would give me, and I just fill in the gaps from there.
Right. Yeah. No, that totally felt like the way it was made. Like it was like based off of, yeah, like you were randomly rolling. Like, what was this? You know, like I think most people will decide like if their character is gonna go to college or join the military or be a police officer. Like those are the parts that you get to make the decision. And Jeremy just kind of decided to roll for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I rolled for as much as I could roll for. Where to put stats, where to put skills. I just wing it, and then I'll play with it from there and see how it turns out. Mm-hmm. Because that, I feel like from a role playing standpoint, which I've gotten to the point with role playing that I'm more interested in testing my abilities as a role player and actually stepping into the shoes of this person and seeing how they see the world and like stretching, you know, those empathy muscles, as it were.
Right.
Instead of trying to force some concept into the world. Like I'd rather test it out and see, you know, try it out. Cause that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's like trying out this new person's clothes. Well, what the hell? Why not?
Yeah, because I know that, like, and I'm going to think about, like, Pathfinder or, you know, like, when I would make characters before, it was very much like, I want to make a fighter.
Yeah.
You know, or I want to make a gunslinger.
Right.
Like, and then the character would build from that. Right. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like, a lot of times that was kind of how I went about it. And, yeah, this time for Ashley, that actually still was how I did it. I was like, I want to make a witch.
I want to make a witch.
I want to make a witch. And so
I've never played this class.
I've never played a witch before. And then I was like, I want to make a changeling. And then it kind of went from there. And then and then a lot of the other stuff about that character kind of developed from that initial witch changeling idea. Like once I started reading up about changelings, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I think I can come up with an interesting backstory for the character, which we haven't even gotten into yet in the show, so I'm not going to go into any of that.
Not yet.
No. But yeah, and I mean, from that point, it was kind of like the personality of the character developed out of
those lines,
out of those things. I was like, well, what makes this interesting? And it wasn't like I completely built the character. It was witch, changeling,
yeah,
and that was it. And then I was like, okay, witch and changeling. I was like, so what would be an interesting way of doing this? And for a circus theme, and it kind of snowballed from those two things. You know, like, oh, that's what this character is. And then I built the character based off the concept. So it was like a little bit of like this, just as a starting point, and then came back around to like, oh, okay, that's how I can build it. And then I put stats and, you know, skill points and not skill points anymore, the whatever
attributes.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking
like trained the proficiency bonuses.
Yeah, proficiencies. Yeah. Like I chose those based off of who the character was and what they were doing, you know. Yeah.
Because before I would, you know, when I was experimenting with different character builds, I would pick one skill, and it could be a random arbitrary skill, and I would min-max the shit out of it to make that character the best whatever that one skill is. Like I with Eats Okay, I made the best engineer I possibly could make.
Eats Okay was a Yosoki in Starfinder.
Yeah, he was a Yosoki mechanic for Starfinder, and he was the best damn ship engineer that you could possibly
that the rules allowed for.
That the rules would allow for
at that level.
Yeah, and I mean, And that was much to the detriment of a lot of other things, because like he didn't have weapons when he started.
No, he didn't have
he had a flare gun.
He did have a flare gun.
He had a flare gun. He didn't even have a spacesuit. He
no.
didn't have armor. Nothing. But it was fine. Like he survived
because he spent all the money on an upgrade for like the cybernetic upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, because that was at the time that was much more interesting to me to like start out almost at a negative with just a normal civilian human person. Well, not necessarily human, because Yusoki.
Yeah.
But just start out with a civilian that's not an adventurer. They're just a regular Joe, and then they get thrown into this thing and going from there and see how they develop. You know, I even took negatives when it came to attributes during character creation.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's also because there's a difference, I think, between min-maxing and that, because I mean it is like totally just maxing out the thing, but you're not minimizing your weaknesses at that point.
Oh, that's fair. I didn't minimize the weaknesses.
Yeah, no, you leaned into them.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It was like he doesn't have armor. He doesn't even have a gun.
He doesn't even have a weapon.
Flare gun.
He's a flare gun. It is basically useless.
And then was like, I'm sure we'll find guns in the beginning of the adventure, and I was like, but
it was fine.
I don't think you did.
I mean, honestly, it was fine because that's the thing about, you know, like RPGs and playing in a party and collaborative storytelling. You don't have to be if you have an entire party of fighters, that is some boring ass storytelling. I mean, it could be really interesting, but if everybody in the party does the same thing, it's
For those audio listeners, I'm making a looking off, thinking about a party full of fighters.
Oh, we should totally do a one-off
where everyone's like one class.
It's going to be a TPK.
Fighters. Oh, totally, because they won't have healing.
Yeah,
they'll go up against one spellcaster who will
just mop the floor.
If he gets initiative, we'll fuck them up.
Yeah, there's a fireball. You're all dead.
You're all dead. Good job. That's it. Fear.
Fear. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's interesting too, is like having characters that are specialized, like hyper specialized. I mean, and it creates a detriment to like being able to do other things.
Right.
And but Pathfinder as a system, definitely, if you're playing with enough people, you know, like 4, I think is like if you're playing with 3 and you build that, you're probably gonna like screw over the party, you know.
Well, yeah.
If you have 4, then you have enough that someone's probably filling one of the other roles.
Right. And even at the time when we started that first party had like 5 or 6 players in it. It was not nothing. And then we went all the way up to 8 at certain points.
Yeah. No, that was terrible. 8
8
players is a lot of players.
Those combats got real slow, quick.
Yeah, it's a lot of players. I mean, people can do it, and I think it requires the players to like make snappy decisions on what you're doing, and not like, well,
and waffle.
I'm gonna move over to
let me read my spell list.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, you really have to like, you know, let the players really have to like make those decisions quickly and not. I'm trying to mute my phone because I just got a text from the other people on the show.
How dare
Thanks a lot.
It was
I'm going to call you out right now,
or Brian.
We'll all know who it was. Brian.
Brian.
Thanks a lot, Brian, for your 0% interest meme that you sent for ruining this recording. Brian. Here, this is what he sent me.
0%. Oh, that tracks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a nice side gag that no one listening to this.
I'll put it on Facebook on Friday.
Oh, please do. Please do.
But now what were we even talking about? I don't even know.
Building characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, building characters. But yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is I don't know if there's a wrong way to do it, because I mean, some people really like to like focus on the like power gaming side of it, you know what I mean, and like to like really lean in. I want to be the guy that does
the things,
the things. Well, not necessarily all the things, but maybe this one thing.
Right.
Be the guy who does the most damage, or be the tankiest character, which I've been totally guilty of in the past.
Yeah, you have. Really, it comes down to like how you want to play the game,
right?
How you want to play the game, and how the people around you want to play the game, and that's honestly that is the hardest part of finding a group of people that want to play the game the same way you want to play the game.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, and it's also, there's a little bit of, sometimes you can have a mix of that in the same group. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because like if you have one guy who like wants to be the guy who does the most damage, nobody else is that guy. Cool.
That works.
Yeah. You got this one guy who does all the damage.
He
and
walks
the rest
up
of you can be like,
and does 200 points of damage in
you're
like 2 rounds. And
cool,
you're like,
you know,
great. I can build the guy that just builds things and walks into the first encounter with a flare gun.
Or make the monk inquisitor gestalt build that just bluffs.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
That Gestalt game.
That was absurd.
Which, I mean, honestly, that informed a lot of our other homebrew after that fact.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That Gestalt game.
Yeah, and that's the game I think we talked about in the introductions we did before, where Jeremy and I were talking about that Pathfinder game that kind of got us back into playing RPGs in the first place. It was a friend of mine from work, this guy Matt, and he hi Matt, if you ever listen to this. Hey Matt. Thank you.
For real. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But you know, so we started playing that, and somehow I don't remember how exactly it happened when we were talking about the game, and like ahead of time he was like, yeah, I'm kind of debating Gestalt, and I was like, what's that even? And yet again, this was me first starting into Pathfinder, right? Like I had not played any Pathfinder. My last
didn't even know it existed.
Didn't even know what it was. It just was like, oh, it's like 3.5, you know, D&D, and I was like, okay, you know. So anyway, so I start looking into it. And he was talking about doing a Gestalt game, and he might do that. And then I started looking at combinations I could do with characters. For those of you who don't know, Gestalt is where you pick 2 classes and they both level up at the same time. You take the best off of each one. And it's like,
it makes for very high level play very quickly.
It does. And it requires a lot of extra work on the GM side to balance for that. Because you're either going to like adjust CR of shit. Or it's gonna be easy stuff that they just walk right through, you know, and it's a really delicate way to balance that CR. But yeah, he did it, and then we had an entire campaign where we played, you know, up to, I don't think we went all the way to 20. I think we ended around 16 or 17.
It was really high.
It was pretty high.
I don't know.
By the end of it, but
I died many times.
Yeah. With the same character. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, and it's not really spoiler, you guys will never know this, became the villain in my Starfinder game.
Yeah.
So, like, when I used it, I was like, this is the villain.
Yeah.
Jeremy's character that's died too many times and became evil.
Yeah. He lost enough of himself dying multiple times that, he eventually went cuckoo bananas.
And yet again, and that's like what I was saying before, is I think that's the amazing part about this hobby in general, is that there's different ways of playing it. There's different ways of making characters. There's different ways that individual players or GMs can, what they can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And, you know, that it's so open, and no matter what the system is, it just lends itself to like an infinite number of possibilities of storytelling, even with an AP, because you could have a totally different party running the exact same AP, and it's a completely different story.
Absolutely different story. But that's ultimately like what RPGs are. It's just collaborative storytelling. It's that improv of really just sitting around a campfire bullshitting and just riffing off of each other while you're going. You know?
Right.
And that's the best thing about it. And really the rules are just there to kind of add a little bit of equity and justice to the situation. So that way, a little bit of structure. Right. It's like Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, these are it's like that, but it's also like, here are the basic physical properties of the world that these characters inhabit. Here are their laws of physics.
Right.
You know, like the general rules of how reality works.
Yeah.
And then what you go from there. You know, and then even then there's then house rules of how people adjust it, and then that's, you know. But then
that goes back to how they want to play.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And the rules are just there to keep everything, to keep everyone's feelings intact.
Right. Yeah. And that's it. I think that's also because I have a tendency, I know as a GM personally, I have a tendency to be very rules as written. And part of the reason why I do that is so that when it comes around and there's a character death, you know what I mean? I can be like, the rule says this.
And I didn't maliciously try to kill your character.
Make up a thing to kill your character. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't, and I
wasn't targeting you.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's, and I mean, it's ultimately just for that. That's really why I do it, is so that I can cover my butt and be like, the rule says this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I try to make it, and I try to make it be fair, you know, and it's both directions. You know what I mean? Like if a character's doing the thing, you know, a player character's doing something, the rule says this. You know, if they're trying to make it do something else, then I go, no. And that's the reason why I generally say, that sounds cool, but I'm gonna say no because you don't want me doing that. Right. See,
and that goes the difference between you and I as GMs. Like, you know the rules.
Yeah.
You at least know. You know the rules well enough.
Oh, you mean for Twilight 2000? Even that.
Here's the thing. You know
there's a lot of mistakes coming up, by the way, guys. A lot of mistakes. So go ahead.
But you can also lie to us, and we believe you.
Yeah.
Me,
that's my special gift.
My special gift is look it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but even then, like when I'm playing a character, I try to. I'm the same way. I hold myself to the same thing. I try to just go like, this is what the rule says. This is what the character does. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, this is how it functions, you know? And I try to make sure that I'm not asking a lot. And that's, yet again, just me. Different players, different GMs have different ways of playing. And sometimes there's a lot more room for it, you know?
And that also
broader interpretations of the rules.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that I want to be like a rules lawyer about it, but it's yet again, the only reason I do it is just.
You will hear some rules lawyering.
But the only, yeah, it'll happen. But the only reason I do it is because, yet again, when I'm GMing, I try to do that so that it's like, when there's a character death, I could be like, this is the rules, and it's not because of some other ruling, you know,
right?
Like
it's not personal. It's the game. These are the mechanics, and this is just how it turned out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier that way. But that's just, you know, yet again. But that's how I have a tendency to play. Occasionally, I'll be like, Jeremy, what do you think? You know, because we do still, and I will still be like rule of cool things. You know what I mean? Like it's like that sounds awesome. Sure. You know,
right? But that's the thing. There's always something in the rules. I mean, that really goes back to rule 0.
Right.
You know, like the GM has final call on whatever because it's their game.
Right.
You know, so if they think it's kind of cool and it helps out the story and the story kind of like trumps the mechanics, then yeah, they'll let things slide.
Of course. And I'm not saying, I do not mean this to mean that I will 100% always get the rules 100% right. Nor am I saying that I will 100% always stick to the rules. What I'm saying is, generally I try to.
Right.
Like that, I try to keep it there and occasionally make exceptions. But yeah. And then,
like I said, I try to do the same thing because we kind of have a mutual understanding of like rules as written is generally the better way to go for our games because that's the way we operate.
Right.
I just don't know the rules. That's the problem.
The problem is he doesn't know what's written. And
I didn't read the book. I read the AP and I was like, well, that's cool. How do these mechanics work? Brian, what are the mechanics?
But that's the other thing too. Then I think that goes into the group, you know, like, because there are definitely people in our group right now that have a tendency to read ahead, and not in the AP, I mean, but not like in the rules, like to read the rules. And I think it's important, very important. This is me as a GM. It's very important for players to know your character,
know your shit,
know how your character works.
Yeah. If
you have an ability, at least read that. If you have some sort of special bit of equipment, know how it works. Understand action economy, and go from there. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to call anybody out. But I am going to say, know your shit.
Oh, fuck. I think you did just call somebody out.
I did not name any names. Now what I'm hoping for is people to
oh my God.
Listen and wait to figure out who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. But I may not be talking about any one specific game. I've yet to even mention a game.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because also, rule number 2 for players, know what game you're playing. And what the rules are in the game that you're playing, not some other game of a comparable setting that has very different rules.
Same concept, different application.
Yeah, basically have a general understanding of the rules.
Oh shit.
This guitar. Jeremy's laugh reverberated in my acoustic guitar that was hanging 3 feet from his head.
How dare I?
Yeah, it'll show up in the recording, I'm sure. So rule number two of being a player is know what game you're playing.
Well, I mean, I think that we might want to bump that to rule number 1 for players. Know the game you're playing.
All right. I mean, now I got to reverse edit this back so it's comes in first, but that's fine.
So now you're just going to be like, rule number 2, do this thing, and it comes
I'm not going to
first?
re-record it. It's just, it's fine. It's fine. So the first one I said is rule 2. This one, the last one I said is rule 1. Rule number 3. I don't have rule number 3 yet for players. Oh, yeah, I do. This is what I'm going to say. Be nice.
Be nice.
Be nice to each other. And and I think ultimately that's the thing. And I think, and that's not just for players, that's GMs too. I have a tendency to be an asshole, but I try to do it in a laughing way. But and all in good fun. But I do have a tendency to be an asshole. But yeah, just be nice and remember that we're all here to have fun, you know.
For sure.
And I think that's the key. And as long as, people remember that it's it's supposed to be fun, you know.
It is supposed to be fun. And that's the thing. In making sure that you realize that it's not just your character.
Right. Yeah.
Your character is not Rambo or, you know what? I'm going to Conan. Or Cobra. I'm going to stick with
Jon Snow.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of things going on in that one, though. There's a lot of characters in that one.
There are a lot of characters in that.
But no, it's not about your character. It's about the group, ultimately.
Right.
And it's collaborative storytelling. And it's not storytelling about, unless your party has decided that your character is that. And then that goes back to, how you want to play.
Yeah,
so really, it doesn't matter what I say. You play a game however you want.
Right. Oh, no. These are just, me. My general philosophies on role playing games.
Really how we play.
Yes, it's just how we play. If anyone's curious, if you haven't listened yet, or since you haven't listened to quite a bit of it yet that we've recorded, because at this point we've recorded quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been playing for a while now, and that's just kind of the philosophy we've developed over time. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess these rules don't apply, so you can forget them if you want to.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
These aren't rules as much as they are recommendations.
I'm not even recommending anything. I'm just saying what we do. You do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, I might be talking to people that are also playing the game. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, guys. You guys are great. I love you guys.
That's quite the long pause. No, you guys are amazing.
No, yeah, seriously, like Brian and Kyle and Chris and someone else that will remain nameless. Wow, we can't even say who he is yet because even though he's on our website. So if you want to know, go to our website because he's on the website.
He's buffering.
Yeah, he's buffering still, but but he won't show up for some episodes still because his scheduling is stupid. But yeah, so I don't remember what the point of that was. That I'm not talking about you guys is ultimately the point.
Rule number 4.
Rule number 4.
Not talking about you guys.
Rule number 4, not talking about you guys. Recommendation number 4. Recommendation number 4. And these aren't for you guys. Seriously, this is for anybody. This is just, like I said, how we like to play and kind of the general. And actually, I would say recommendation number 4, if I ever had to tell players something as a GM, or other players as a player, would have, the one thing I would tell people, and this goes for GMs too, if you want to have a fun game, don't try to win.
Oh, there's no winning.
There's no winning.
There's no winning.
You could make the most badass character, like I said before, the tankiest character possible, right? Mm-hmm. It's he will never be touched. I've been accused of that, and I did it. It was dumb, and it was really fun, but it was also it got stupid.
It was obscene.
It was absurd, and it was completely legal.
It was completely legal. Well, I mean...
It was Gestalt.
It was Gestalt legal.
Yeah, it was Gestalt legal, which is legal. But yeah, you could do these things, but and some people like to play that way, and that's fine. But I think the point of what I was saying was there's not winning,
there's no collecting the greatest number of points to succeed.
Yeah, if the story's good,
and everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's how you win.
Yeah, that's winning. Everybody walks away thinking that was the most fun they've had in like a fucking month.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I've been at sessions before where characters have died and it's been like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Having characters that die and it was like, oh, they fell into a black hole. That sucked. That session was awesome.
That was really fun. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That one was epic.
Yeah. So we've covered characters, our kind of general ideas on building characters, running campaigns, starting running a campaign, which is ultimately the most daunting thing you can possibly do.
Terrifying.
And shit, and then a whole bunch of jibber jabber about fucking absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we're gonna edit this down to like 10 minutes, and
no, I think it'll actually be a lot
almost
longer
an hour
than you think. It's not gonna be an hour. I know that because there was that whole thing with my wife coming home and the dogs barking and other things like that. But we'll have a decent amount. You'll be surprised how much I leave in. Like I'm literally just gonna edit out chunks, like
big swaths.
Jeremy's comments that were racially insensitive. That line's not getting edited out, Jeremy. I will edit what he said out. So if you want to send angry letters,
great. People are going to be like,
I will give you his address. No. You can send the hate mail there. Just don't.
Great. Fantastic. Please don't. I didn't.
Just saying, it was really messed up. I can't believe you said that.
I mean, dogs are awful, right?
Yeah.
No. Oh, hold on. Let me say this now and get it out of the way. I love dogs. I love dogs and cats. Cats.
What about fish? Do you love fish?
They're delicious.
What about dogs?
They're also delicious.
Disclaimer, Jeremy does not eat dogs.
I do not eat dogs. I have never eaten a dog in my life that I know of.
No, we're all very, very kind pet owners. We do not eat dogs and cats and fish.
I might eat yours, though.
I mean, I might eat fish. God, I could go for some fish now.
Dude, we should totally get some sushi.
I'm in.
This is Jeremy Fox with the wrong Adam.
That's how I would like to be known, as the wrong Adam, until we get the right Adam. The right Adam, Adam Driver. Adam Driver, if you're listening to this,
I don't know why you would be, but I am.
Adam Driver, if you're listening to this, give us a call or email.
Call Adam.
We will get you on the show. Well, I'm not going to have my phone number up so you can call me, because that'd be dumb to put my phone number on the internet like that. I don't want people calling me.
Oh, that would be
terrible.
Choice.
Yeah. No, but we do actually have some plans for this show specifically at some point. I'm going to kind of use this as an opportunity to, one, talk to other players, like talk to Chris, talk to Kyle, talk with Brian, talk with name has been deleted, later on about their characters. And this is going to be a running gag. I think it's going to be funny. Talk to them about their characters and role-playing games in general. And also, we have some other ideas down the road, as this is an opportunity to talk about the broader, field of gaming and other
aspects of life
that we might get into at some point. There's at least plans for that. And we'll see how that all plays out. But anyway, yeah. Jeremy Fox, he doesn't hate dogs.
I don't hate dogs.
He loves dogs. He might make racially insensitive comments occasionally, but he likes dogs. So, karma, it balances out. Hates people, loves dogs.
That might be accurate.
And yeah, I guess that's it.